show contains strong language and scary sounds that is meant for mature audiences only. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome, freaks, to the Central Florida Sights and Sounds podcast, and to Universal Orlando's Halloween Horror Nights. Your host, John Carigliano, will take you on a journey through some of your worst nightmares. I wonder, will you get out alive?
Welcome to Season 9, Episode 1 of the Central Florida Sights and Sounds podcast, bringing you the sights and sounds of Central Florida's world-class attractions and beyond. And I'm your host, John Carigliano. And of course, here's my lovely wife, Anne-Marie.
I don't remember how to do this.
Yes, I know. It's been quite a while. We took a bit of a hiatus, maybe about a year or so ago. Sometimes you just kind of get burned down on things, and you need to take a break, and that's what we needed. And so, luckily, that Billy Joel concert was the last thing that we posted before we took our hiatus. But we are here back at Universal Studios Florida for Halloween Horror Nights 32. We're actually going to be doing an R.I.P tour. Now, full disclosure, I was actually a tour guide for 2 seasons in a row for 30 and 31, which is probably why it was hard to do a show for those times. But this time around, we are actually going on tour, and we have a slew of really fun houses this year. Which ones are you kind of really most excited for, Anne-Marie?
Well, so many, actually. I'm kind of excited for all of them. But I'm really excited to see The Last of Us and how they did that, and because it's based on the video game, not the TV show. And you played the game, and I watched you play the game. So I'm kind of interested in how that all worked. And, of course, Stranger Things, because it's one of the only scary things I've actually watched.
We also have a lot of amazing scare zones, all of them kind of surrounding this mysterious figure, Dr. Oddfellow. We also have Halloween Nightmare Fuel, Revenge Dream, which I believe I've heard, and don't quote me, is basically like the series finale. It's like a 3-parter. So
But you didn't mention the best scare zone,
which is
Vamp 69.
Vamp 69. If you don't probably already know, Anne-Marie is really big into the 60s, and it's basically like a music festival that gets overrun with hordes of vampires. So yeah, the music's also fantastic in that area.
If we weren't doing an R.I.P tour, I would just sit there all night.
Understandably. So normally we would tell you what houses are coming up first. I technically do not know what houses are coming up first, so we will definitely be letting you know as soon as we know. But sit back, relax, and enjoy Halloween Horror Nights 32.
So we'll do our opening here. So you guys have all been on tour with me before, except for you guys. And it's been on tour, so you know how this works. So Paul. I've never lost. Yeah, it's not happening. I've never lost. You want to just finish that work back? We have the 9:30 show. So we're going to go to Nightmare Fuel at 9:30. What that means is I've got 2 hours between now and then. So we'll get lots done. We won't get all of it done, but we will get most of it done before we do the show, and then we'll do whatever we can afterwards. Whatever we miss, we'll get to afterwards.
R.I.P. tour, guys.
I want to get to the show early. The way that it works is that this show this year is extremely popular, and I'd love to get you guys into a really good seat. So we'll get there early enough for the show. So if the show's at 9:30, really like to get there like 9 o'clock-ish, which means getting you guys to stop to go to the bathroom and get a drink or food before we go in there at 9. So right around 9 o'clock is what I'm planning. So to me, that means we are going to start with our front 5 houses. Now, how many of you have not been to this year's event? Not been to the event? Perfect. You have. It's like 4th door. So this year we have Dr. Oddfellow. Who is that? He's actually related to our Jack character. Yes. We don't have Jack, is that why? We love Jack. So he actually comes out of Jack's story. If you've heard Jack's story, you know who Jack the Clown is? So Jack was a circus clown, got a little bit too rambunctious, was drawing too much negative attention to the circus with his killing spree that he was going on. So the owner of the circus killed him, shoved him in a box. Jack the Box. That was in the I know, that was in the original story. We've now given that circus owner, we've added little bits and pieces over the year, but this year is who is that circus owner and what is his story. So that's our Dr. Oddfellow character. So our story begins in the late 1800s with the birth of Dr. Oddfellow. He started looking into power and immortality. In the early 1900s, he was drawn to the zodiac and the power of the zodiac and how it can influence our lives, and that there was something to it. The more he researched, the more he found out that dark zodiac has power, and actually with a combination of the different symbols was where that power lay. And if you look around now at night as we go through, you'll see some of the characters have this weird complicated symbol. That is Dr. Oddfellow's symbol, which is the combination of that zodiac, and it appears throughout the park, the dark zodiac. And that's actually our first scare zone here. That research into the dark zodiac led him to South America and the jungle of doom in the 1920s, where he found a crystal skull. You can kind of see that ceremony happening there. We're combining the skull with the power of the dark zodiac, grants him power over nature and immortality. He spends his time in the jungle twisting creatures and animals to his whim. Then he's got a cadre of animals, and he decides that he needs to pursue power in the center of power, which is Western civilization. He comes to America, travels by boat, and lands in San Francisco, and unloads these creatures that he has created. During the unloading process, one of the crates falls, and the other crates open up, and that's our area where you've got the Shipyard 32, where the crates are opening up, and those creatures that he created are running wild, and his victims in San Francisco. That takes us to the 1930s, the Dust Bowl and those traveling circuses, and that's his house. I'll tell you more about his house when we get over there. After the house and the circus, or during that time, is when Jack is created. He has a fight with Jack. He kills Jack and shoves him in a box. But during their fight, Jack scratches his face. Blood from that scratch gets onto Jack as he's dying, granting him immortality, which is where Jack's immortality comes from. Power of Dr. Oddfellow. That's Jack's story. But Dr. Oddfellow at first starts off just twisting creations. He slowly begins to refine his art, and a lot of the creatures and the things that we have had here at Halloween Horror Nights are now attributed to the twisted creations of Dr. Oddfellow, including the modern day vampire. So we have a scare zone, Vamp 69, the second to last one that I'm going to talk about. Vamp 69 is where he kind of refined that art of twisting creatures in, and the first time those appeared was Vamp 55, timeline-wise. But our first scare zone that we did Vamp was Vamp 85. It was purely a music zone with scare actors, and if anybody's my age, music from the 80s was the best music ever.
Hell yeah.
Still is.
Hell yeah.
So that scare zone was the best scare zone we ever did. Then we did 55, which was his first appearance with his vampires, timeline-wise. And then now we're doing Vamp 69. Sticking with that music theme, but we have a podcast that follows one of the characters from the 55 Scare Zone, our prom queen. She was being chased and pursued by one of the greasers. In our podcast, she was turned, and she checks out to find out where she actually came from. That's where she finds out about Dr. Oddfellow and tells that story in more detail that I just gave you an overview of. That's almost all of our scare zones except for the last one, which are Dr. Oddfellows, if we're just calling it that, out at the front. That is our table of contents that we've done every year, which is a little bit of everything from every zone and house. So a little bit of everything thrown up at the front is our table of contents area, and Dr. Oddfellow has a little house that he does stuff on. So that's the overview of the outside of the park. We will go through our scare zones, as many as I can get through. I think we'll do all of them, just based on my pattern tonight. You guys ready to get started?
Yeah!
Right. Here we go. First one, our chainsaw area and Dark Zodiac. This one has some really cool costumes. I'm not a Scorpio, but that or Gemini. Those two are my favorites.
I'll show you what love's in the crevice successes of my dog. Because while a certain solitary, I come to enjoy my life, even though some of you won't survive. You will so. And should you make it through the night, come see me.
Like everybody made it to Jason. All right. So we're gonna head down towards where it says Comcast.
That's real frightening.
Yeah. Of course, we can't do anything here now.
I was wondering. I was like, why is that?
I heard about that.
Now, yeah, this is now Minions. They want to keep it, I guess, friendly during the daytime.
Even scared dogs become scary at night.
So, honey, what did you think of Dark Zodiac? It was good.
The scorpion costume was amazing.
Oh yeah. And of course, you had the Dr. Oz table of contents at the beginning, which is pretty cool. If you stick around and kind of watch it for a little bit, I always love the interactions with guests that he has. So, as we just heard, here now Minion Land, where we have Villain Con and Despicable Me, they can't have any scare zone here because during the day it still has to be family friendly. So it kind of sucks that now this is off limits now.
We're going to head up against the flow. If we stay kind of to the left side, we'll avoid the majority of the insanity, not all of it. And I'll tell you about the houses when we get in the back. Yeah, the MC basically performed 1.5 songs.
And did a worship service.
No, he was recording a music video so they would get somewhat through, you know, can't touch it, stop, reset, and start the song again.
I think that hall is something.
I gotcha.
Oh, you're the best. I was watching for you because I'm like, too short. Come on through here, Mike. Oh, you're the best. And all the way to the back. Smell of that house. Everybody's complaining about it. I'm like, no, that's the appeal.
I love it.
It's disgusting. It's not a good smell. I don't like it because it's a nice smell. I like it because it's terrifying.
It was no different than the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, where remember you had that putrid smell?
Yeah. Oh, no, there's a few of them in the houses. But this one reminds me of the original house. The smell.
Oh.
Vomit and disgusting. It smells. It's evil. That's what it smells like. That's evil. Like, yeah, it is. All right, I always have to say this when we're back here, but we will see some characters possibly in partial dress and our makeup stand. So we just ask that, just no taping when you're back here, just no pictures or video. Cool.
Cool. Yeah.
The star of this year's show is the Agent Bear.
Oh,
Like whenever he's tall enough, you can see him as he's walking.
I love the.
Barricade there, and everybody cheers for him. Like they always do the applause for like the cast changes, but when
But then Agent Bear
goes by, people just go nuts. Every time I see him, I tell him I love his movie. Cocaine Bear.
Ah, they added a barricade over here now.
Yeah. And it's exactly the same setup this year as it was last year.
Ah.
All right, first house. This year's tough. Because I always get the question throughout the night, what's the best house this year?
Oh.
What's the scariest house this year?
Yeah.
We really don't have a weak house this year. Like there's good scares in every house, and different ones have different aspects to it. So, okay, well then, fine. Like last year, I remember last year you guys had the Dead Man's Pier with the violinist, and that was so
That was
beautiful.
beautiful.
So what's the prettiest house this year? And you're just like,
Dead Man's Pier.
I kind of have a problem there too, because a lot of our houses are also really beautiful. Yes, you know exactly where I'm going with this. So, this house here was, again, there's two houses that I've been mesmerized in. There's some houses that look great. The Blood Moon is going to be looking amazing. But
Yeah.
there's two houses that I literally was just like, oh wow. Like, I wanted to stop and watch what was happening because the costumes look so good. And the first of those two is Dueling Dragons. So how many of you have been here long enough to have ridden the Dueling Dragon ride? Yes. Awesome. I love it. So one of the things that I know you didn't see when you did Dueling Dragons originally, tour guides know about this one, but there was a story on the murals as you went through Dueling Dragons. And unless you had a flashlight, you couldn't see them. And the story was that Merlin was called in because these two dragons were fighting over top of the castle of the keep in the village, and their battle was destroying the local village. So Merlin was called in to stop the dragons. He did, and then disappear. That's kind of Merlin's last story. We've taken that and modified it. We've given you a story as you go through the queue, and then just like at the end of the queue at Dragons, you get to the end and
pick.
you choose your fate. You go left or do you go right? You go ice or do you go fire? Well, this is the first time we've ever had 2 endings to a house. Unfortunately, we only do it one time on the tour. So if you've done it before, pick the other exit.
Yep.
But this one doesn't have 2 endings. Technically, there are 4 separate endings for this house. What that means is that if you choose ice, you go through the ice side. When you get to the end, you're either going to see gas change.
Oh.
That's the bear.
Oh, here comes the bear.
Here's the bear. Told you he gets the biggest change. You are either going to, on the ice side, you will either see the Ice Wizard victorious or you will see Merlin victorious. I'll explain those in a second. So our story isn't the story from Dueling Dragons. Our story is that Merlin has been enchanted by the Lady of the Lake and turned into the old restaurant that was there, the Enchanted Oak. So when you walk in, you will see that big enchanted oak with Merlin's face and hear the audio of what I'm about to tell you. That he has been turned into the enchanted oak, leaving his spell book unprotected. 2 powerful wizards, one of ice and one of fire, Pyrock and Blizzrock. Blizzrock is ice, Pyrock is fire, and those were the unofficial names we were never allowed to say as tour guides of the dragons. We weren't allowed to use them.
Yeah.
But now we can because they're the wizards' names. They are fighting over possession of Merlin's book. At one point, they both reach the book at the same time, but Merlin is no dummy. He doesn't leave his book unprotected. And there's one final spell that goes off as they reach it, turning them both into dragons, where they continue their battle. And then we get to the end, choose fire or ice. If you choose fire, and the fire wizard wins, you will see the fire wizard holding Merlin's severed head.
Oh, dang.
Or you will see the last boo hole. It's a tiny little boo hole. The fire one is a little bit bigger. He comes out on a platform, he's got the head. Or you'll see Merlin pop out saying, thank you, congratulations, you saved the world. Same thing on the ice side. If you go to the ice side, Ice Wizard is victorious, Merlin's severed head, or Merlin, congratulations, you saved the world. So those are technically your 4 different endings to the house. You guys ready for this?
Yeah.
All right, this way.
You can pick any side you want.
Go ahead and turn off your little lights.
It's off. You can do ice, I can do fire. I've done ice already. Alright.
Or do you want to go separate so we have separate endings?
Because I've already gotten the ice ending.
So which side are you going?
I'm going left.
So fire.
Yeah, going fire. Last time I was here, I did ice. All right, so we got the story for Dueling Dragons. Choose Thy Fate. Here we go.
Pyro, with the consuming power of fire, and Blizzrock, with the powers of the hate frost, graced to obtain my mighty spell book. They battle each other and their southern armies on their way to the castle, leaving destruction in their wake. Go forth before my spells are uttered, my undead bliss. Gather your courage, travelers, and choose thy fate. Good morrow, travelers. I am Merlin, wizard of the realm. I have been cursed the Lady of the Lake's beauty bewitched me. And as I drew close to her shores, she transformed me into the enchanted oak. I entreat thee to aid our peaceful king. That the dark of the needy powers of fire and ice ascended their opposing arms. In adventurers, your quest has already begun. While the warlocks battle, get to the castle, retrieve the stone.
All right, so what you just heard was Dueling Dragons Choose Thy Fate with the fire. Now, as stated before, this house has two endings, just like the actual ride did. Had a fire and it had an ice. Well, I went previously and I did the ice version, and this is the version you're going to hear right now.
Mighty spell. They battle each other and their summoned armies on their way to the castle, leaving destruction in their way. Go forth before my spells are uttered by undead lips. Gather your courage, travelers, and choose thy fate. wizard of the realm. I have been cursed. The lady of the lake's beauty bewitched me. And as I drew close to her shores, she transformed me into the enchanted oak. I entreat thee to aid our peaceful kingdom. Grant the dark, greedy powers of fire and ice ascend their opposing arms. Into the castle, escaping the free power of my eternal bondage. Beware of the traps I have set. Now go! Adventurers, your quest has already begun.
Fire.
Did you win or lose?
We got Merlin's head.
You got Merlin's head.
We got Merlin's head.
Okay. And ice. No, ice. Yeah.
It's crazy. Everyone's going down ice. I'm like the lone person going down fire. I'm like, I was like, cool.
I did fire.
We did fire too. We caught Merlin's head.
All right, let's step up just a little bit further. That way we're out.
Sorry.
So I always like to talk about that ending beforehand because if you're not sure of what's happening, you kind of miss it. You know, you walk through that last ending, you're like, oh, I'm on the fire side, and then you're out, and you're like, I don't know what I saw, but that last room is that either Merlin or Merlin's head. So kind of a cool concept we've done that. But I like this next house because it gives us a little bit of an insight onto how Halloween Horror Nights works. So it used to be true that if you've heard stories about Halloween Horror Nights, that the day after Halloween Horror Nights ends, the first meeting for next year's event takes place. And that used to be true. And in that meeting, they would do, you've done corporate, you know how this works. First time you have a meeting with people, what do? Icebreaker. You gotta do an icebreaker.
Yeah.
All right, tell us your name. So this one, they've got an icebreaker, and their icebreaker is what's scary. They actually added to a list. So they're going through, and there was one guy that went in, and what do you got? Yetis. Yetis are not scary. Because everybody's thinking of the Disney Yeti that's broken 6 months after it opened, right? Not scary. Don't scare. Yeah, Yetis. Next year, all right, going around. What do you got?
Yetis.
Stop with the Yetis. My God, they're not scary. Third year, are you gonna say Yetis?
Yeah.
Yes.
Say Yetis. They're not scary. Stop it. So finally, they were like, you know what? To shut you up, we are going to do a Yeti house, but we're not gonna do a full Yeti house. We are gonna do Slaughter Cinema. The Yetis aren't scary. You can't do a full house on something that's not scary. We'll do Slaughter Cinema, and the last film of that sequence that you're gonna see will be Swamp Yeti.
Yep.
Swamp Yeti.
Yep.
And we had little monsters from our face. We had a little horror movie. There were little vignettes from each horror movie that you went through at this drive-in movie theater. That year, every single person that answered the survey said that the scariest thing of the entire event was the Yetis at the end. We had about 3 Yetis.
Got him every
and
time.
Every single person got scared.
If anyone didn't think that was scary, it dropped me to my knees a couple of times. It was terrifying.
Yeah. So of course, first day afterwards, and those are all on surveys, those get picked up throughout the year. First meeting after Halloween Horror Nights, the guys just sitting there like, fine, Yetis are scary. So we created our first full Yeti house. And our first full Yeti house, we've done swamp monsters. So now we're gonna do the Abominable Snowman Yetis. So we did Yeti Terror of the Yukon.
That was good.
Where we did the snowy environment, those ones. You guys remember that one?
Yeah.
That was our second one. Well, now we are doing our third Yeti house. And this one, we are doing Campground Kills. We're taking you up to the northeast to a campground. So think your Sasquatch, your Bigfoot. That's what we're doing this year. That area. And there are many ways to go camping. You can rugged, sleep under the stars with just a sleeping bag. Beautiful. You can sleep in a tent, protect yourself from the environment. You can glamp it up a little bit, take a fifth wheel.
Get a nice camper.
You can just rent a cabin in the woods. Well, just so you know, we have all of those in our house, and none of them are safe from the Yetis. But this year we have added something new to our Yeti lineup. We have a baby Yeti.
Oh.
Have you seen it yet?
I don't think I've seen it yet.
Okay, so if you have not seen the baby Yeti yet, there will be a sign for Annie's. There's a big sign for Dottie's. Big like campground sign for Dottie's, whatever, ice cream, whatever. Just after the sign, low down, kind of, it's a baby, so it's going to be down on the lower area after the big sign for Dottie's. So there's a lot of stuff to watch for, even if you can, when you get, if you remember that, there's a fifth wheel. It's one of those tow-behind trailers. There's a shadow play happening in the window. Watch for that. But also in our tents. People are being attacked in the tents, and you actually see the Yetis on shadow play in those. So a lot of shadow play going on through there. And look for the baby Yeti after Dottie's in the campground. Big sign, Yeti on. This way.
That was kind of uncute.
Almost. Yeah.
I think that scared me more than that.
Honestly. I was like, ah. So, thoughts about Dueling Dragons Choose Thy Fate?
I won.
You won? But did you, how did you like it? I like. I think this is the first year I've seen scare actors actually wear something that lights up.
Yeah.
Years past,
Stealthy and in the dark.
correct. But as for someone that's never done the ride, you had basically no backstory of like what this was. So, still enjoyed?
Yeah. I like
At least a nice way to start out the game. It looks like they're just doing a cast change for Yeti, so I guess we might be hanging tight just for a smidge.
I like how in the walls, like some of it was hot and some of it was cold. Or looked cold. But I mean, I never did dueling dragons, but I've done Dragon Challenge.
Yes.
I mean, it was
Two
technically the same ride.
vastly different queues. Still enormously long, but still vastly different queues. When we're done, I have a question for you.
All right.
All right, here we go. This is Yeti, Campground Kills. Registration 32. Damn it! Ay, ay, ay. Yeah, I was gonna drop to my knees again. Holy mojo.
Quote Nala, gotcha.
That last one. Last one.
So what I love about the Yetis, the reason that the Yetis are so scary is that no matter how tall you are, no matter how big you are, the Yetis are bigger. And that scare from up here, like big guys, for me, everything comes from here. Everything is another scare. But for you, everything is maybe eye level or lower. But it's one of those that you're not used to stuff coming down.
I think that's why it gets you. It's because
Probably.
Yeah.
Like a body, and all of a sudden it went.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did see the baby Yeti.
Did anybody see the bear?
Yes.
Yes.
Did the bear get anybody?
Yes.
Yeah. We're just standing there, and it looks fake. And then he goes, yeah. Right, it looks fake, and in the house it looks completely like.
But he just left, there's another one.
Yeah, right. He just left when we saw him. That's great. Yeah.
So my question, I know with Dueling Dragons, a lot of the actors actually have like lighted vests. Is that the first year that scare actors have actually worn something that lights up?
No, we've had other years when we've had other things light up. So last year, that same house where we got Dueling Dragons, where we had Dead Man's Pier.
Yeah.
The first lit costumes that we had for scare
Oh, it was the
were
black
the
light.
ones with the diving costumes, and inside they had the black light. But nothing has ever been done that much.
No, because
And
that's
the
very
fact that
elaborate.
We've got a battle going on, and you've got the lightning.
I
and
love
red
that.
and blue. You see the attack between them. That's a first.
Okay.
All right, you ready?
Yeah.
Yeah. And like, I believe it. Yetis are scary.
So if John ever wanted me to go camping, that's all off the table.
That's all. So thoughts about Yeti Campground Kills?
It was good. I liked it. I mean, I liked how it had like different types of camping. Like it did have
The RV, the cabins, the tents.
an HHN bear.
In Asian Bear. Did you enjoy walking through the damp sleeping bags? Ew, it's all mildewy. The big, well, I think there's a scare actor that's like right around that corner.
And of course, that was Yeti Campground Kills. And of course, joining me to discuss basically final thoughts on the two houses, Dueling Dragons and Yeti Campground Kills. Of course, back once again is Anne Marie.
Hi.
So obviously, I kind of had asked you about Dueling Dragon. You did the ice section. We played both parts, both the fire and ice. What did you think of that particular house?
I liked how it was like choose your own adventure. Like from what Paul said, that was like the first time they've ever done that, really, where it was like a choose your own adventure.
Correct.
And I think that was a really interesting way to do it, especially just considering the ride itself. Like you got to choose which side you went on. It wasn't like it was predetermined. So it was like you went this way, you had a different experience.
Yeah, the one thing I do enjoy, or did enjoy with this house, is how they really kind of dove deeper into the lore of and the story of Dueling Dragons, and just how they were able to recreate the Oak Tree Tavern, which was a big restaurant. So that's
which
basically
is now 3 broomsticks.
Yeah, but that's the facade that you were walking through, and I just was very impressed by that, but also really impressed with the models of both the fire and ice dragons. That was superb.
The lighted costumes, too, were amazing. Oh, the lighted costumes were amazing.
Yes, I did enjoy those. Moving on, next up was Yeti Campground Kills. This was, of course, as Paul had mentioned, the third incarnation of the Yeti. First one was during Slaughterhouse Cinema with the Swamp Yetis.
Where John got scared.
And then you had Yeti Terror of the Yukon.
Where John got scared.
And then you have, of course, now Yeti Campground Kills.
Where John got scared.
What did you think of this, since you have done all three of these?
It was fun watching you get scared. I mean, I always like the Yeti stuff. It's always fun. And this was the first time we saw a baby.
A dead baby Yeti.
Dead baby Yeti.
Yeah, it had maggots all over it. Again, really great. I love the additional story. I love how they included HHN Bear. That was cool.
And how everyone yells HHN Bear.
Exactly. But again, great story, great scares. I loved how they included all different types of camping.
And honestly, like, Campground is like the quintessential like horror movie trope. You know, there's so many campground killer type movies, and you know, just it's a trope in the whole like industry.
It is weird though, because the name of the title, like I kept on thinking about that song, like
Campground Races.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know why I couldn't get that out of my head, but you know, here we are.
But yeah, I mean, like, you know, like the serial killer in the campground, the, you know, runaway whatever in the campground, you know, that's a thing. So like it was kind of cool that they brought in that. And they had like all types of camping. Like it was like they had glamping, and they had like, you know, little tents, and they had like RVs and stuff like that. So it had like different kinds of, they showcased different kinds of the camp too.
All types that Amory won't do.
No.
Anyway,
I told you I'd go camping in an RV.
Yes, the
big fancy ones.
Yeah, exactly. And sleeping into bed,
like the $1 million ones.
Of course, we showcased the very first two houses on our tour for Halloween Horror Nights 32. Next week, we'll be showcasing two new houses, or again, two more houses that we did on our tour. So don't forget, you can visit us at cfscs.com, where you can email the show. You can follow us on X or Twitter.
No one will call it that.
At Central FL-SAS. We're also on Blue Sky as well if you search Central FL, Central FL-SAS. You can also subscribe to us on our YouTube channel. We kind of explained what happened at the beginning of the show, the reason why we didn't really post that much, but we'll be back posting again. Yeah, do you have any other things that you want to talk about before we go?
Boo.
There you go. Well, stay tuned next week for another episode of the Central Florida Sights and Sounds podcast, and so long, and have a magical week, everyone.
Ohana means family. Family means nobody
gets left behind
or forgotten.